Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This video is going to contain yet another cipher solution. It's honestly staggering just how many ciphers there have been in Black Ops 3 Zombies. It's insane. In Shadows we had a load, in the Giant we had a couple as well, and then we've had so many in Eisendrache, it's crazy. So what I'm going to be doing in this video is, first of all, showing you the location of the cipher, because obviously if I'm showing you a cipher and I'm just saying, yeah, this is what it translates to without showing you it in-game, then there's a good chance you'll get confused as to which one has actually been solved, because pretty much they all look the same. So this cipher is going to be within the living quarters, that's Samantha's room, and then Richtofan's room, and then boom, your cipher will be lying in a stack of papers on the floor in the corridor just next to the wolf bow painting. The translated plaintext is really interesting. It gives us some information about an area of the storyline and a group within the story that right now are boggling minds left, right, and center because we know so little about them. We know so little about what their plan is. We know so little about their past, their history, their origins. No, that's not a pun, or at least it's not an intentional one. Now then, before we jump into the crazy story implications of this note, I want to give a shout out to the one and the only 9069 on the CallOfDutyZombies.com forums, because it appears that that chap there, Mr. Nino, has solved this cipher himself. So congratulations, sir. The note can sometimes be a little difficult to actually make out in-game, so I've color corrected here just so you can get a better look at it. An example of that, actually, testament to what I'm saying, is the fact that I believe Trix Prodigy posted a thread on this yesterday on the Call of Duty Zombies subreddit, and in his screenshots it was like hella murky, you could hardly make out the letters, so I've color corrected here to get you a better view. I also want to thank Kalinin on Twitter for basically pointing this in my direction. Good stuff. So, without further ado, manizzle, let's take a look at this cifizzle. Okay, that really doesn't work. Let's take a look at this cipher. This is the plaintext. After the great battle, they stood upon the mound. Their light shone down and cleansed all the sickness for as far as the eye could see. They are the first. They are the last. Visions of fractured worlds and strange rooms haunted our dreams. That's the ciphertext. Your reaction to this should probably be something like this. What? Holy moly! What's going on here? This is talking, okay, about PRIMIS. Who are PRIMIS? Let's go on a little journey and find out. As I bring up so many times in my videos, in Origins there are secret scraps of paper littered around the map. I'm sure you guys have heard this all before from me. If you're new to the channel, then I'll go through it one more time. There are scraps of paper around the map, and if you put them together, you can form an image of PRIMIS. Who are PRIMIS? PRIMIS are Takeo, Nikolai, Dempsey, Richtofan, but they're a special incarnation of them. They're not the 1.0s that we are trying to save by killing and then trapping within the summoning key. Maybe trapping is the wrong word. Maybe sort of containing within the summoning key, or rather containing the souls of in the summoning key in Black Ops 3. It's not the 1.0s, it's not those characters, nor is it the Origins cast. It's a separate iteration of the 04, and they've always been extremely fascinating because we for so long have not known what the hell their purpose has been, why they are there. Back when Origins came out, people were speculating, you know what, maybe these are Babylonian ruins in the background, and maybe these guys are being worshipped here, and people would go further and say, okay, what can we draw from the clothes of the people around them? What sort of information can we draw from that? What can we draw from the images of the actual characters themselves in the top left, top right, bottom right of the picture, in the border? What can we draw from the pattern in the border, and the fact that that same pattern can be found in places like on the MPD, that is the Moon Pyramid device, on the moon, or on Earth, depending on which Easter egg you're doing, I suppose. But you can find that same pattern on there. You can find it on the big meteorite from Tunguska, which is inside Shino Numa, which has been sort of retconned kind of from the original 115 kind of orange color to the new Divinium blue color with that pattern on the rock. And you can find it in myriad other places as well. In the crazy place in Origins, it is everywhere. And so people generally were speculating that these characters were probably, and that's an understatement, massively, but they're probably fairly important. They're certainly intriguing, that's for sure. You cannot argue against that. They are really, really fascinating because of the fact that A, we know so little, and B, they seem so vital to whatever it is that is going on in the story. I just feel like there's this undercurrent of PRIMIS no matter which way we turn, and it seems like they're going to be quite important, certainly in the later maps of the Black Ops 3 saga. So that's basically who PRIMIS are. They are this mystery group, this mystery iteration of the original characters, and we don't really know an awful lot about them. We know that they are prophesized to fail, whatever the hell that means. That is from the Shadows of Evil ciphers that we know that, so PRIMIS are doomed to fail for some reason, but what their goal is, like I've said, is still unclear. They could be doing any manner of things, but this note, this cipher, gives us a little bit more information about what their purpose may be. Let's go through it one more time. After the great battle, okay, pause, there's been a great battle, and they've won the great battle? Presumably, if they're still alive. If they've lost the great battle, then that's certainly very strange, so I'm presuming they have won this great battle, and that is exactly what we are seeing in the only image of PRIMIS that we actually have on Origins, or rather from Origins. They stood upon the mound. That is what this note says. So again, once more, PRIMIS are not only in this note, but they are in this note having just won a great battle and now are standing atop the mound, presumably in the Origins map, because that is the only area that I can think of, certainly to my mind right now, that has ever been referred to as the mound in Zombies. So it's quite likely that after the great battle, they stand upon the mound, and their light shines down and cleanses all the sickness for as far as the eye could see. Pause again. This is absolutely fascinating for the following reason, okay? This really sounds very much so like a global reset. What do I mean by that? Well, it says that the light shines down. Okay, that's fair enough. We've had light shining down all over the place in Zombies for absolutely years now, but it specifically shines down and cleanses the sickness for as far as the eye can see. In the PRIMIS note, we are seeing people reaching towards these 4 titans, these 4 great heroes, and there's a good chance that now with this extra context, they are sick and they are being cleansed. We've actually had a couple of instances of cleansing being an idea in Zombies, if you think of Origins, of course, also in Shadows of Evil. Do you guys remember? During the Easter egg, part of the steps involve you having to cleanse to prevent yourself from dying from this mystery sickness that will otherwise overcome you during the Easter egg. I digress. I said global reset. What the hell do I mean by that? Well, we know that there are 115 deposits all over Earth. For example, in Origins, we learn that the people of northern France were stumbling across this blue clay. I've made videos about the fact that in real life, that's a complete fact. There is indeed this blue London clay under much of northern France, but in the universe of Zombies, or rather in one of the Zombies universes, or in the Zombies canon, I should say, that blue clay is divinium, and as such, because we know the effects of 115, we know that if there are dead cells or dead people around there, then what's going to happen is that 115 is going to reinvigorate those cells, it's going to reanimate them and bring that person back to life. You go from dead to alive, and QED, you've got yourself a zombie outbreak. So that is but one of many locations where there are pockets of 115 on planet Earth, and there's 115 on the moon as well. Don't go forgetting that anytime soon. 115 is all over the place. Now, this sounds like this light is shining down and cleansing not only the local area, some central radius around the mound itself, but rather it sounds like it is cleansing, and it specifically says, as far as the eye can see, and I take that to be analogous to basically saying the entire Earth is being quote-unquote healed right now. The entire Earth is being rid of these zombie outbreaks that may be going on around the planet or anything along those lines, and instead we are being given a much more pure reset Earth. Now, whether we can then take that to mean that after this great battle, there's some kind of new beginnings of the story in terms of things like the rediscovery of 115 and things like that, I don't know. This is all obviously speculation. Anyone that claims they know exactly what is happening here is straight up lying to you, or their name is Jason Blundell or Craig Houston, simply because we don't have enough information to put together any concrete theories right now with this info from the cipher. We simply don't have it. It doesn't exist. So we're working with what we can here, and these are just some ideas that I'm spitballing to hopefully get you guys, A, excited about the future, and B, interested in what it could actually mean when we do get that future info and I can explain it on my channel. If you thought we were done there, though, you are much mistaken. We're only halfway through the note, and the second bit is just as interesting as the first. They are the first. They are the last. That phrase, to me, sounds really peculiarly similar to the quote from Black Ops 2, which states, "We are the living, and we are the dead. We are the flesh, and the flesh is us." Do you guys remember that radio from Black Ops 2? If you do, then congratulations, that means that you actually found one of the radios in Black Ops 2, which was a rare occurrence indeed, but just the wording kind of makes me, well, it reminds me, I guess, of that Black Ops 2 radio, saying they are the first, they are the last. Hopefully you guys see what I'm saying there and you don't think I've just completely lost my marbles. It's a similar phrase. Anyway, the meaning is completely different. One is talking about the flesh, which is certainly not Primis, or at least I certainly hope not. Holy moly, that would be insane. Can you imagine if Primis ended up being these man-eating half-zombie... No, let's not even go there. So what we've got in this note is Primis being the first and the last. That's not something we've ever really considered before. Why are they the last? Is that testament to my idea about this being some kind of reset? Could, and this is massively speculative right now, but could in DLC 4 we find ourselves playing as Primis, playing as those characters, and we go through this great battle, which I'm going to come back to in just a moment, and eventually, at the end of the Easter egg, we shine this light down, or rather this light shines down upon us, having won the battle, and boom, Earth is cleansed, things restart, and all is afresh. They are the last in the sense that that is where things end. But wait, Primis is doomed to fail. We know this from Shadows of Evil. So what if that prophecy is actually talking about a prediction from somewhere or other stating that you, as a player, are going to fail during that DLC 4 Easter egg? Wouldn't that be awesome? You are maybe at odds with some iteration of Richtofen or something like that, and that Richtofen is saying, boom, Primis will fail, nah mate, no Easter egg for you. And then in the DLC 4, we'll be having to fight against his forces or something like that to actually complete the egg. But wait, there's more, okay? This great battle, alright? I didn't really dive into much depth with it previously, but we're going to now because we have some really interesting information about Primis that we really haven't explored in enough detail, in my opinion, on Shadows of Evil. No, it's not the cipher I've already mentioned, it's the mural. It's the sculpted wall on each side of the sacred place in the Shadows of Evil subway or basement or whatever you want to call it. Down there, we can see Primis engaged in a great battle. There are dragons, there are margwars, there are all sorts of crazy things going on. There are keepers, there are ancient APOTHICONS swords. There's so much stuff packed into that mural. If you guys would like an in-depth breakdown of the mural in the future on my channel, then let me know with a comment. In fact, if you have any story videos whatsoever that you'd like to request, drop a comment because, like I've said in previous videos, I know the story fairly well, and I'm very, very enthusiastic about it, so I feel like I'd be a good candidate to explain some stuff to you guys, but I digress. This battle seems to be fought between Primis and the APOTHICONS. And if that's the case, then is that in itself analogous to the battle fought by the king? The king that previously resided in Griffin Castle, and whose story we see depicted in the images that you use to upgrade the wolf bow? His story is a tragic one. He fights against the APOTHICON menace and fails. He dies. There's only one outcome in a situation like that, Richtofen says. And so maybe what is going on here is, in the same way that Richtofen in the game says that there is only one outcome fighting the APOTHICONS, and that's that you're going to lose, and that is what Richtofen says in the game is inevitable, that loss that the king experienced. And so maybe another Richtofen elsewhere, like I've just mentioned previously, is also thinking that fighting against the APOTHICONS is inevitably a loss for whoever is fighting against them, and as such, he should be on the side of the APOTHICONS in that battle, and as such, he's writing this note saying that Primis will fail. I mean, we could go one step further and say maybe the Richtofen that we're with right now is actually a scheming mother trucker, and he's the one that wrote that note saying, although they've discovered the way PRIMIS will fail, because he's going to lead on the characters and then go, nope, Chuck Tester, instead of actually working with you and trying to save your souls, I'm going to use the summoning key. Note, it's called the summoning key. It's not called the soul trappy, scrappy, helping everyone survive key. No, sir, it's a key for summoning, and he's trapping souls in it. Is he going to use those souls for rather sort of dark and twisted purposes? And if so, is that why he's saying, yeah, PRIMIS have discovered the way, but they're gonna fail? And he's confident in that knowledge? This path that only he can walk? Is this actually a very different kind of path that he's been hiding from our characters? There's good reason why all of the characters constantly in all of the maps have quotes saying, I don't know if I can trust this doctor. You know what I mean? It's like they're constantly suspicious of him, and that's to be expected, I guess, because he's a crazy German doctor, but at the same time, maybe there's something more deep there. Maybe this is foreshadowing. I'm going to leave it at that. I've been MrRoflWaffles. Thank you so much for watching. I need to give my voice a rest because I'm damn hype right now, and I've probably been talking a little more loudly than necessary during the recording of this video. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll see you next time. Toodles!